Okay, let's go ahead and solve this nice little algebra word problem. And actually, this problem is not that difficult, but it does depend on your understanding of a couple words here. And I think most students are going to get in trouble with a problem like this is because they don't understand a couple words. I'll get into all of that in a second, but let me first just read you the problem. It says the sum of three consecutive integers is 18, and we want to know what are the numbers. And the words I'm talking about here is consecutive. So you need to understand what consecutive means. And then, of course, you need to understand what an integer is in mathematics. But if you understand the word consecutive and integers, and you have this other information in this problem, you probably can kind of reason together a decent solution. But even if you're not sure, go ahead and pause the video, give it a try, see what you can come up with. But if you think you can solve this problem, you get the solution, and you can check your solution as well. So if you get the numbers, you can, it's pretty easy to see if you actually got the right answer. Go ahead and put those numbers into the comment section. I'm actually going to show you the solution here in just 1 second. But before we get going, let me quickly introduce myself. My name is John. I'm the founder of TC Math Academy. I'm also a middle and high school math teacher. I've been teaching math for decades. I love teaching math. It is my passion. And I can tell you right now, all of you can be successful in mathematics, but it requires great math instruction. You got to have access to great math instruction, clear, understandable, and comprehensive. So if you need help in your current math course, or maybe you're studying for some sort of special test that has math on it. I'm talking about things like the GED, SAT, ASVAB, a teacher certification exam, or if you homeschool, check out my math help program. I'm going to leave a link to it in the description of this video. I promise you will be very, very happy with my courses. I literally have over 100 plus different courses that cover these categories and much, much more. Also, I'm going to leave links to my math notes in the description of this video. Hopefully, you're taking your own awesome notes, but if you don't have any notes right now, you can use mine. And if this video helps you out, don't forget to like and subscribe, as that definitely helps me out. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at the answer here. So the sum of three consecutive integers is 18. That is the question. What are the integers? Well, here we go. 5, 6, and 7. This is the answer. Okay, of course, we're looking for three numbers, and we need to talk about consecutive and integers here in a second. But this is the answer. And if you got this correct, well, let me give you a nice little happy face, an A plus, a 100%, and a few stars so you can have an extra special day. Nice work. Okay. Now, I think if you were not quite sure what to do in this problem because you didn't understand consecutive and integers, well, let's go ahead and clear that up right now. And then, I think when you see the solution, you'll be like, oh, this wasn't that difficult. And if you're taking any sort of algebra course, you're definitely going to be running into problems like this. So you want to pay attention. Again, if you're like in pre-algebra, algebra 1, certainly algebra 2, etc. But let's go ahead and take a look at this at these words here so we can understand the problem. All right, so the sum of three consecutive integers is 18. We need to understand consecutive and integers. We have to be very clear on what this is saying. So consecutive numbers, okay, would just be something like this: 1 and then 2 and 3. Okay, basically you're going to the next number, right? So it's one number and then you're going to the next number and then you're going to the next number. That's consecutive. Another illustration of that would be like 9, 10, 11. So these are three consecutive numbers. These actually happen to be integers as well. So if we had like the square root of 2, the square root of 7, the square root of 12, well, these numbers, okay, we're just kind of writing these numbers, but we can't really interpret them as being consecutive, right? And that's why we need to have this word integers, okay? So integers are these numbers in mathematics. So most of you hopefully recognize these are integers, but integers are basically the numbers that, these are the whole or counting numbers, 1, 2. All right, so when we start to learn how to count, we count with 1, 2, 3. We also call those the natural numbers. And then if we add in a 0, we have the whole numbers. And if we take the positive whole numbers and the negative whole numbers, we end up with a set of integers. So numbers like -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, etc. are integers. So three consecutive integers would be something like 0, 1, 2, or negative 2, negative 2, negative 1, 0. These are also three consecutive integers. So we're looking for some sort of numbers that fit that pattern. And of course, if we look at the solution here, we can see that 5, 6, and 7 are integers and they are consecutive. So now that you know that, let me go ahead and stop and give you an opportunity to think about this for a second and be like, okay, now that you know what consecutive and integers mean, if that was your kind of holdup or your confusion, try to solve this problem on your own before you see me work this thing out. But I'm going to go ahead and get into the solution right now. Okay, and again, not that difficult of a problem. All right, so we want to find the sum, okay, i.e. we need to add up three different numbers, three different what? Well, consecutive integers. So let's go ahead and use algebra, and we'll start off by using a variable x to represent our first integer, okay? So if I have, let's take 1, 2, and 3. If x represents 1, how do I get to the next number? Well, you're simply going to add 1 to it. Remember, integers are separated by 1, okay? They're kind of spaced out by 1. So the next integer would be x plus 1, okay? So here, if this was x, 2 would be x plus 1, or 1 plus 1, which would be 2, okay? So this could be our next integer, so our next consecutive integer. So this is our number. Our next number would be x plus 1, and then our next number after that would be x plus 1 plus another 1. Okay, so these are our three numbers, or our three consecutive numbers. Of course, we don't know what they are, but we can represent them using variables. So this would be x, and then we have x plus 1, and this one is x plus 1 plus 1, so we'll call that x plus 2. All right, so these are three consecutive integers, okay? Now, the problem says the sum of these three consecutive integers is 18. All right, so that means we have to add these up, and is, if you don't already know, when you see this word in mathematics, that means the equal sign. Okay, so the sum of three consecutive integers is equal to 18. So let's go ahead and build ourselves a nice little equation. So we have x, x plus 1, x plus 2. These are our three. This is the sum of our three integers, our three consecutive integers, is 18. Okay, so now all we have to do is go ahead and solve for x. So what do we have here? We have x, x, and x. That gives us 3x. So we're just combining like terms. We have 1 and 2. That gives us 3. So we have 3x plus 3 is equal to 18. So hopefully you know how to solve basic equations. But if you don't, what we're going to be doing next is subtracting 3 from both sides of the equation. So this is going to be 3x is equal to 15. And then our last step is we're going to divide both sides of the equation by 3, and we get x is equal to 5. Now, if any of this part of the problem is confusing to you, if you're not understanding what I'm doing here, you certainly need to go back and review things like combining like terms, solving basic equations, etc. But if you understand this, if you're with me, that's excellent. So we just solved for x. Well, what is x? Well, remember, our three consecutive integers is x, x plus 1, and x plus 2. So our first number is 5. So let's go ahead and get all these solutions right now. Okay, so here was our three consecutive integers, x, x plus 1, x plus 2. We know that x is equal to 5, so our first number is 5. So what's the next consecutive integer? Well, it's certainly going to just be 5 plus 1, or 6, or x plus 1, where x is 5. So that'll be 5 plus 1, or 6. And then here it's just super easy, right? The next integer after that is going to be 7. Or x plus 2, which would be 5 plus 2. Again, that is 7. Now, remember, in the beginning of this video, I said you can always check your solution. So let's go ahead and add these numbers up and see if we get 18. All right, so here we have three consecutive integers. Let's see if the sum of these three consecutive integers is 18. So we have 5 plus 6, which is 11. 11 plus 7 is, in fact, 18. This thing checks out. So there you go. Okay, so again, very classic type of algebra problem. Believe me when I tell you, these type of problems have been around forever. Probably your great-great-grandparents were doing problems like this way back in whenever your grandparents were around. Maybe it was the 30s, the 50s. I actually have an extensive library of math books. I love particularly old math books. And I'll tell you something. I really think that they taught math in a real nice way back in the good old days. I mean, certainly if you look at the accomplishments of, like, for example, the space program from the 1960s, all that was done with, old school math, which is not to be diminished. It's not to be like, oh, that was just basic math. No, that was pretty advanced stuff. And the people who understood mathematics, and they also used slide rules, they didn't have all these computers around, were amazing at applied mathematics and other type of things. So, the thing about it is this: math is one of these sciences, like a lot of other sciences, there's a lot of consistency in it. It doesn't change, year after year. Okay. So, anyways, when I use this word classic word problems, if you see this problem like this, guarantee it, you're going to see it again if you continue to, take mathematics, especially where algebra is involved. But if you need help with additional algebra word problems, and things of the like, or any topic that I was talking about, excuse me, any topic I was talking about in terms of solving equations, like terms, etc. Let me give you a couple of recommendations. One, I would suggest either my pre-algebra or algebra 1 course. Again, if you're in algebra 2 or pre-calculus, I have those courses as well. But I do have additional videos on my YouTube channel about word problems, so you can challenge yourself with more of my YouTube word problem videos. But with that being said, I definitely wish you all the best in your mathematics adventures. Thank you for your time and have a great day.